Sarah, what do you think the number one Googled question is about sex? I was very surprised when I found this out. I was shocked, actually.
My guess would be, how can I please my partner?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, that's not it.
That's not it?
That's not it.
Okay, what is it?
The number one question Googled about sex is, what is sex? Yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked to know that the number one question was, what is sex? So there you have it.
Okay.
What is sex, Sarah?
What is sex? Well, let's talk about that
Let's
today.
talk about it today.
Excited.
Me too. Thanks for joining us on This Might Be Triggering, a mental health podcast, because avoiding your problems is so last season.
Join us for honest talk, relatable stories, and real tools for emotional wellness and relationships. It's not therapy, but it is therapeutic, with insight, humor, and something useful in every episode.
I love it. So the number one question is, what is sex? That's the number one Googled question about sex is, what is sex?
It's surprising, but then when you say that,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think about different cultures and different households.
Sure.
People may not be in a home where they grew up and heard about sex or talked about sex, or maybe culturally it was very taboo. So,
Yeah,
absolutely. And Google is worldwide. So
Google is worldwide. I love that. I totally agree with you. I think it is difficult to talk about sex and get maybe real answers, right? You see a lot online, media, people discussing it, but to really talk about sex, you need somebody who's trained in that. Also, sex education, very different now. You might not have gotten sex education in school or your place of worship or your home. So once I thought about it, and like you said, culturally, or there might be shame. So you may not have anyone you could ask or trust to give you good information about it. So I thought that was fascinating, the number one question.
that is fascinating.
What was your sex education experience?
Oh, I was the youngest of four.
Okay.
And so I would hear things and see things on movies, TV shows, or just like flippant comments.
Good point.
Yeah.
TV shows.
Didn't have a space where I could ask. If I did, I think maybe I asked my sister. Most of it was it was learned through friends. And a lot of it was not great information. And then I did have sex education courses in high school, probably one. I don't remember much except for that I had a crush on a boy that was in the class. And that is all I remember. I don't remember anything. I know a coach taught it. So maybe
Oh, coach taught it. Was it girls and boys together in the room?
boys and girls together in a room, and a coach taught the course.
Okay. Olivia, what about you? What was your sexual education experience?
I had health class in 7th grade, and there was like a short segment on it. Like, it wasn't that in depth, and most of it was just kind of saying, don't have sex, don't have sex. It wasn't really like,
That's a shame around sex.
There's a lot of shame
Yeah.
around sex. I mean, granted, in 7th grade.
well, yeah, I don't think I had it in high school that I can remember. I think it was just 7th grade.
Not in health. Do you have to take health in high school?
Well,
or
my
did
high
you
school
when you
was
were there?
different.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I think we didn't have, as dancers at a performing arts school, we didn't have to take health or
Right.
Okay, so you're at a performing arts school.
yeah, we didn't have to take health or like gym because
Okay.
our
You
dance
were dancing.
counted as that, and we had like a nutrition fitness course that we did that covered our like health credit. So I think my experience was maybe not average, but I did have in middle school like a health segment.
So how did you learn about sex? Peers, friends,
Yeah.
TV shows?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also remember they would have these like seminars again where it was like, don't have sex. Like, it wasn't even health class. They were just like, at least
Yeah.
a few times a year, they'd be like, and there was like so many seminars on like, don't send, no sexting, no nudes. And it's like, we're in,
Right.
but it was all very like shame oriented. It wasn't actually like anything helpful.
Okay.
That is so good. I had not even thought about this episode about sexting. That's a good one. We need to mark that down and talk about that. And I love what you're saying about the shame around. Did they talk about masturbation at all?
No.
No.
Oh, I'm
nobody
sure they
talked
did
about
not.
that. No, nobody.
Oh, and for me, no,
Yeah.
no.
They did
That
not.
was definitely not talked about.
I mean, I'm 57, so my sex education was a while ago. Actually, I went to a small private Catholic school. They actually did a great job, but now that I think about it, it was really about puberty, right? This is a penis, this is a vagina, this is what is happening to the boys, this is what's happening to the girls. And we had it in junior high. I think we had some in high school too. I remember learning about, when people would say the word penis, all the boys would start to giggle. I remember Miss Pitts and Sister Carol taught it to us. I remember Miss Pitts saying when she was talking about a penis and a boy going through puberty and the penis getting hard, because as a girl, when you're in junior high, that's complete. It's like, what is that? And she said, you could hit it against a wall. And I was like, oh, well, and the boys in class were like, well, don't do that. but yeah, so, I actually got a great education about puberty and hearing about that. And I think it's very important to understand what's going on. Of course, your parents had to sign the permission slip and everybody was embarrassed about it. But it was more a medical and biological definition. And so today I want to talk about the medical and biological definition. I also want to talk about a relational lens. Maybe instead of saying definition, I'll say a medical and biological lens to look through, and then also a relational lens to look through, and what it is, and then why it's important. And then some options that our listeners can really embrace about sex and healthy sex, understanding it and how you feel about it. So it's really great stuff. So biological medical lens, most often people, I think, refer to sex as sexual intercourse. Right. And what can become of sexual intercourse, the penis entering the vagina, sperm, eggs, and all of that, and how that works. And so I think a lot of times when people talk about sex, they're actually thinking of sexual intercourse.
Yes.
So from a biological or a medical lens, that might be part of it. You might think of erections. You might think of orgasm. You might think of G-spots. You might think of different things from a medical or a biological lens. You might also talk about sexually transmitted diseases, which are very important to understand. So from a medical and biological lens, you may also be thinking about sexually transmitted diseases and how those are transmitted. So it's very important to look at sex through this medical and biological lens and how that works. That's the most common way people think of sex.
Yes. And actually, when you brought up sexually transmitted diseases, it's like this memory popped up in class. We did talk about STDs, short for sexually transmitted diseases. A lot of fear and shame around that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important to understand that happens and that you need to protect yourself when you're having sexual intercourse and even sexual play, that you want to protect yourself from sexually transmitted diseases, using a condom, talking to your doctor about that, and making sure that you are engaging in safe sexual play and sexual intercourse.
Yeah, very important. We have to be safe.
Absolutely. So that's a medical lens, not to mention preventing unwanted pregnancies. That's very important. So it's very important from this medical lens and biological lens to get accurate information about that and about what is happening. And that really is best hearing, from your doctor, talking to your doctor about that. That's very important.
Yeah. And I think if any parents are listening out there, which I hope there are some parents listening, moms, dads, maybe both, get comfortable talking to your kids about sex. The kids are going to hear about it. You hear my story, Olivia's story, and kids are going to hear it from their peers, and they may have misinformation, because misinformation being shared across the board. Get comfortable talking to them. I know it's a big ask, but I think that, there's different books and resources and things that can help you start up that conversation and use the real words for the body and help them really know what it truly is, what sex is and what it means, and maybe not shame-filled too, because we're designed to have sex.
Absolutely. Sex sex is enjoyable. Sexual intercourse, sexual play is enjoyable. Going on what you said, there are a lot of great books that are age appropriate. And so I want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
When talking with children, parents who are listening, it's very important to only answer the question they ask.
Good point. Yes.
As adults, I think we try, or as parents,
We get uncomfortable and talk too much.
right?
Yes.
As parents, I think we try to over-explain things or rationalize or
And they're going,
yes. Only answer the question that children ask. Books can be really great. You want to get age appropriate books. There's a really good book. It's been around a long time, and some women in their 30s are like, oh my gosh, get that book away from me, because they have trauma when their mom brought it out. But the American Girl series actually has really good books about the care and keeping of me. And so it's what's happening when you're starting to go through puberty. It's just good information. Don't only get that book. Get other books too. Have those available. Another thing that you can do when you're talking with your adolescent children, and this is helpful on many different topics, is have a journal and say, look, there might be some things you want to ask me that you don't feel comfortable asking me face to face. So have that journal available. They get to write a note in that journal, and then you get to read it on your own time.
yes.
And you get to answer it. So we don't have to answer questions right away when we're talking to children, we're talking to adolescents about sex. It's important to have open conversations about this, appropriate conversations. Don't over-explain. Don't answer questions that your children are not asking. That's very important. And it's okay to say, you know what, that's a great question, and I want to talk about that later. Give yourself a moment to collect yourself. If your young child or your adolescent is asking you something and you're completely blown away and you don't know what to say.
Or at a place where you cannot answer that question. You know.
Absolutely. You can tell them, you can say, I'm so glad you asked that question. That's a really great question. Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I know one thing we do in family counseling is having family gatherings where you're looking at the calendar, you're looking at other things. You can also have that time with your child where you get to say, you know what, you asked me a really important question that I want to answer.
Yeah.
And that gives you time. And some people are like, oh, should we both talk about it? Should just one of us talk about, oh, this is reserved for the girls. I don't buy into that. I think it's really important, one, to have a healthy relationship as a couple, as parents. So to be able to have a healthy relationship, can you talk about sex with your partner? With your partner, can you talk about what feels good and what doesn't feel good? And so let's not be embarrassed about talking about some of these things with our children. Again, don't over-explain. I've had someone say, my child doesn't want to look at me. I'm like, that's fine. Have him turn around and not look at you. And remember, one thing that's very important to tell children is that no one touches your body but you.
Yes.
It's okay for you to touch your body in the privacy of your room. No one touches your body. No friends, no adults, no doctors. No one touches your body but you. That's really important. Not mommy, no one touches your body but you.
Yes.
And if you do want to touch your body, that's done in your room. And so those are really healthy ways that we can have those conversations. But I want to remind parents, you don't always have to answer your child right then.
Yes.
It's fine to take a step back.
And I hope that takes pressure off some of the parents.
Absolutely.
Okay, I can say,
Absolutely.
circle back. Let me get back to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you don't have to tell your sexual history. That's not an open door to start talking about that, right? Sex is private, really private. So that's a biological and medical lens. I know we're kind of speeding through this, but I just wanted to touch on this. You can absolutely DM us questions. Olivia, am I forgetting anything you think?
No.
Sarah, anything on that you think I'm forgetting?
I think one thing with doctors,
Yes.
one thing that I've shared with my kids and I think is helpful is the yearly checkup. They check your privates to make sure that everything is developing okay, and also check for any signs of abuse or anything. They have to do a little peek, and mom's in the room, and it's safe because mom's in the room and we're expecting it, right?
And I think I remember the doctor explaining.
Some do, yeah. Some don't though,
and
but
I
some
think
do.
That's important. And I think
Yes.
parents, talk to your doctor about that. before they're going to do that with your children. It's very important to be open about all of that and be very clear, advocate for yourself. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's important.
Yeah.
Good. So let's look at sex through a relational lens.
Yeah.
And I really like this. So one of the definitions I use in the counseling room, I like to define sexual activity.
Okay.
Okay. This is how I like to define sexual activity as any consensual physical activity intended for sexual connection, intimacy, or pleasure. So I really like that definition. When I work with couples, I remind them that the work we do together is for physical, emotional, and sexual intimacy. And that word intimacy is important.
It is.
Because sexual intercourse, sexual play looks very different for every person at different stages of your life. And it's important that it is consensual and that it's pleasurable. It's a different lens, right? It used to be this thought of arousal, erection, ejaculation, orgasm, and done. And one book I like is called The New Sexual Mantra. And it's really focused less on performance. So less on erection, less on ejaculation, and more on pleasure. So less on performance and more on pleasure. Another thing I think that I find that couples struggle with is libido. And so this relational lens on sex includes intimacy, closeness, vulnerability, giving and receiving pleasure. And sometimes in many couples, the libido or sex drive is different. And I know the world likes to talk about, oh, men always want it and women don't. That's just not.
I don't think that that's always the case.
No.
And I think
it's unfair too.
it is unfair.
A lot of pressure on men.
It does. And I think women who are maybe
A lot of shame on women.
women who really enjoy sex and like sex. Yes. And I think maybe like a sister to libido is scheduling too. Some
Absolutely.
people are ready for sex in the morning. Their body is just designed differently. I'm not sure of the biology behind that, but there are some people who, they'll wake up and ready to go. Some people prefer midday sex and some people prefer end of day sex.
Right.
That is important. And in couples counseling, that's something we talk about. Because if you're different, if you don't align there, then you can have some dissatisfaction there and not even really realize, oh, wait, she likes it in the morning and I like it in the evening. Well, let's try to figure this out.
Absolutely. And, sexual play can be many different things. Intimacy, erotic activities, maybe without penetration, right? Kissing, touching, oral sex, mutual masturbation, outer course, using sex toys, being able to talk to your partner about those things. And if you've grown up in an area where it was not safe to talk about that, or you were embarrassed to talk about that, there's a great app by Gottman, Gottman. The app is Card Decks. And they have open-ended questions that talks about intimacy. This is just connection, has nothing to do with sex, but they also have sex questions. So if you don't know how to talk to your partner, you can say, look, I know we've never done this before, but hey, I want to get this app and try it. I heard it on this podcast about how important it is, and I know it might be weird. Do you think we could just look at these? Now, if you don't like a question, go to the next question. It's just a way to open up a conversation with your partner about how do I make you feel good when we are sexually intimate together? What do you like in our sexual play? Would you like something different? So it's just these questions that open up that conversation. And I want to remind our listeners, it's private.
Yeah.
What you do in the bedroom, number one, consensual. Hello, number one, consensual. There's a great video that we'll have to put a link. It's called Consent with the Analogy of a Cup of Tea. It is awesome. It is so funny, We're going to have to put the link in our podcast.
Okay, I've not seen
It
this.
is awesome. So if you go to YouTube and look up consent and a cup of tea, there's one that uses expletives, and then there's another one that's a clean version.
Okay.
They actually used it when my sons went to college, and they
Okay.
had them all watch it. And it explains, if you make somebody a cup of tea, that's great. They want tea, you want tea, so you're going to make a cup of tea. But if they change their mind and they don't want to drink the tea, don't make them drink the tea. Or if they're tired and they've fallen asleep, don't shove the tea down there. I mean, it is a great video.
Analogy too. I mean, or a great example of
It's awesome.
consent.
It's awesome. So look up consent and a cup of tea. It's great. So again, in a relationship, the sex needs to be consensual. And if you're in a relationship and the sex is not consensual, that's a big red flag. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that's a conversation worth having with teens.
Absolutely.
Once they get to an age where any type of behavior may even be thought of, let's make that very clear what consent is and is not.
Absolutely. And you can absolutely think, yes, I'm ready for this and I want to do this. And then
Change your mind.
And it is okay to change your mind.
And as soon as you change your mind, you're no longer consenting to the behavior.
As soon as somebody in that relationship changes their mind, they are not consenting.
Yep.
And that can happen in all relationships. And so it's very important that people understand sexual play, sexual activity, consenting adults. Mm-hmm. And being able to ask those questions about what you enjoy and what you like and what you want. And being able to share. And you have to have vulnerability and you have to feel safe. And
that's so important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel safe.
You have to feel safe to be vulnerable and to be able to talk about these things with the person you're with. And if you don't feel safe, then it's worth having a conversation. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't feel safe to have these conversations. There's something going on.
You don't feel close.
You don't feel close.
You don't feel connected at that time. And it's important to work on that in a relationship. Sometimes people will come in and they have different sex drives and I want this, I want that. And I'm like, let's talk about sex. It's very important to talk about sex. There are many things that happen with sex. When men have problems with erections, a lot of times a female's first thought is they're not attracted to me.
Yes.
Or they're involved with someone else.
Yes.
And that is absolutely most often not the case with erections and changes in erections. Men can ejaculate even if they're not fully erect. Many things can influence erections. Medication.
Yes.
Medication can influence erections. Medication can influence orgasms. If you're on a medication for nerves, well, guess what? You have a lot of nerve endings in your clitoris. So that impacts orgasms for women. And so if you're not able to talk about these things, then a partner is feeling like they can't please their other partner if there's problems with erections or problems with orgasm. And there are many, many things that can impact those things when you're talking about a healthy sexual play life within a couple.
Yeah. And kind of going back to what you said in the beginning of this, society tells us like men want sex all the time. And so, whenever you say a woman is with a man and the man is not fully erect, it's like, oh, well, men want sex all the time, but you're not fully erect because there's something wrong with me. And then, and then will she feel safe at that point to even say that? Maybe not, because she feels insecure
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot that happens when you're having sexual play with your partner and you're not able to communicate and talk. And you need that vulnerability and you need that trust.
Yeah.
So if there are things going on in the bedroom and you're not able to have sexual play to the extent that you want, let's look at the vulnerability. Let's look at the trust. Right? Let's look at how that's going. And every relationship is different and it's private. It's absolutely private. You can find a counselor who's trained in intimacy therapy. You can talk to them. You can ask your friends. Just know that you're not always going to get the truth. And that happens a lot.
Yes.
Because it is vulnerable. and it is private.
Yeah.
And so you make sure you want to talk to somebody who's trained and someone who you trust.
Yes. And if things are not, quote unquote, normal in that area in a relationship, people will feel shame, embarrassment. And yeah, you're right, may not be truthful with other peers going through something similar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then when your partner finds out you've been talking about issues in the bedroom, that can break trust and it can cause issues in the relationship. So try to stick with just a professional or your partner. Just talk to those two.
And if you are not able to talk to your partner, try that app. Try those, or just sit down and talk with them and say, hey, I listened to this podcast and I want to talk to you about this. What do you like in the bedroom? Do you like it when I touch you here? What is pleasurable to you? How can I make you feel safe in the bedroom? Do you enjoy our sexual play? Is it enough? Is it too much? Having those conversations with your partner, if you're afraid to have that conversation, let your partner know you would like to talk about it. And if your partner can't have that conversation with you, let's work on connection more.
Yeah.
Let's work on connection more. Use the app, the card deck app with Gottman also has those open-ended questions. Use those open-ended questions. Let's start talking to our partners about this topic. I have people ask me, what can I do about wanting to raise my libido? And I invite them to set an alarm on their phone a couple of times a day and actually think about sex with their partner.
Okay.
To actually think about it. What is it that I like about it? Because a lot of times we can push sexual pleasure with our partners away if we've been hurt, if we don't trust, if we don't have that emotional intimacy there. And I'm talking right now, Sarah, this is important for our listeners to know, I am talking about a healthy relationship.
Right.
I'm not talking about an unhealthy relationship. You can have a healthy relationship that may not be sexually intimate, that may not be sexually pleasurable. I know couples that do not have sexual activity. They've chosen not to. There are couples that can't have sexual activity because of medical conditions, medications, like I said. And so it's really important to be able to talk to your partner. There may be one person in the relationship that does need to engage in masturbation because that other person in the relationship can't have sex. This can all be a very healthy part of our sexually intimate relationship. So just noticing that there is not a one size fits all, that it's not the same for every couple, and it is private between you and your partner.
I think when talking to your partner too, using the I statements, not
Absolutely.
saying you do that,
Absolutely.
you do this,
Thank you.
I can. I think sticking with, I am not feeling pleasure at the moment, but what I would like is, sex at this time, or, these kind of behaviors. Saying what you want and what you need, not what your partner is doing wrong.
Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's very important when we're trying to have a vulnerable conversation that we are not criticizing. And this is what I want our listeners to know. If you're saying a lot of you, that is going to come across as critical. So you can do this. This is actually another Gottman tool. Go check out our emotional intelligence episode. This is the tool. I love this tool. When this happens, fill in the blank. When this, fill in the blank, happens, I feel. Use 3 feeling words. Get a feeling wheel if you don't have one.
Amazon.
3 feeling
Put the link up.
3 feeling words, right? When you don't accept my bids to be close and sexually intimate, or when you don't want to have sex, I feel unloved. I feel rejected. And
Lonely.
I feel lonely. Next time, could we figure out a way how both of our needs can be met? And I'll tell couples, so especially if one person's working on libido, I say this is a cognitive behavioral therapy. You're working on your cognitions. You're working on your thinking about sex. Put a reminder in your calendar to think about sex and to think about You can create your own sexual mantra about that, right? I'm a person who loves my body, especially if you're ashamed of your body. I'm a person who's working on loving my body, and I can be self-expressed sexually, and I can look forward to sex. You know, just having that thought.
Those
And
neural pathways, you're resetting them.
you are resetting them. And so having that to increase libido. The other thing I share with couples too is let's create a name about it so that you can maybe text about it. So maybe something in the beginning of the day. Let your partner know, hey, I'd really like to connect sexually. If you can't say that in a text, right, you can say, hey, let's work on our project tonight. I think, you know, hey, do we have time to work on our project tonight? Especially when you're raising children. Good grief.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. You might have a big presentation at work, or you just might be exhausted, or you might not be feeling well. And I always tell a couple, look, if somebody's not feeling well, that's a hard pass. Please take care of it yourself. You can do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sending a text earlier in the day, hey, can we work on our project tonight? Making up a name for that project. I need to really build the ship, raise the sails, if you know what I mean. Blow the pipes, if you know what I mean, right? We need to clean the organ. I don't know, whatever you want, whatever you want. But have a fun way of being able to say that to your partner earlier in the day so they know.
Yeah.
You also brought up some couples, at the end of the day, you're tired. It's just not working. And that's okay. And so I also tell couples, it's okay to schedule sex. I know some people are like, no, if I've got to do that. I'm like, look, if it works.
You schedule other things that are important to you. You schedule your dentist appointment every 6 months, right? You schedule all these things that are important to you. Why can't you just put that on the schedule, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to say something that sex is not.
Okay.
Okay? Sex is not performance. Sex is not porn scripts. Porn is so easily available.
Oh,
And
porn.
it's so easily available, and it's very hard because men are visual. Typically, I'm not trying to gender norm it. Typically, men are very visual. Typically, porn is very readily available.
Yeah, it's a quick fix too, right? It's there. You can take care of yourself. Porn, they have figured out the recipe. They know exactly what to do to get the people excited to get the job done, right?
That's right. And sexual pleasure is not a porn script.
No, and sex is not like that. Sex is not like porn. It's not designed to get the job done, to get it done quick. It is an intimate, beautiful experience, not a performance.
Yeah. And it's not to say sometimes you can't just have sexual pleasure and, you know, that drive is just there, and that's fine. Again, it's in the privacy of your own home. I just wanted to make sure that we said sex, and I love this. Sexual pleasure is not about performance. It's about connection and pleasure. Not performance. It's about connection and pleasure. It is not a porn script.
Yeah.
It's very important that people know it is not a porn script. And it's not only about sexual reproduction.
Yeah. And sex education, that's a big part of it, right?
Sex education is a big
You
part
have
of it.
sex to
It
have
is
a baby when you're married. Yes. And then it's all very confusing when it does get a little, little.
Absolutely. And anytime that penis is close to a vagina and there is ejaculation, those sperms can swim. You can get pregnant on the first time. You can get pregnant during your period. You can get pregnant when you're nursing. So yes, sex education, understanding all of that, very, very important.
Yeah.
For our practical purposes, what we're talking about now with sexual pleasure, it's not performance, it's not a porn script, and it's not only about reproduction. I want to offer our listeners one thing before we go.
Okay.
And I want you to think about it. I want our listeners to think about a sexual mantra. So I've got a couple here. So an integrated mantra might be from that new sexual mantra, taking the focus off performance and putting the focus on pleasure, desire, eroticism, satisfaction, imbalance, in connection.
So it's desire, pleasure, eroticism,
Satisfaction.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
All
and
in balance.
eroticism is kind of, we didn't talk a lot about eroticism today. Eroticism is a little bit about that fantasy and sexual play.
Yes.
Right? Maybe there are some sexual toys that you're including in that. But eroticism is something that makes it new, right? Makes it fun, especially if you have gotten into your sexual pleasure with your partner being the same way all the time, or kind of turning into a check the box type.
Yeah.
So that's one mantra: desire,
Okay.
pleasure, eroticism, satisfaction, in balance, in connection.
Okay.
Right? Remember, it needs to be consensual. So here's kind of an affirmation style, and I like this. My body is worthy of pleasure.
That's pretty powerful.
Let's
Feel
say
it-
that one again.
Yeah. Let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. My body is worthy of pleasure.
Yeah.
It is.
Our bodies are worthy of pleasure.
Yes.
Sex is not ugly. It's not shameful.
It's not mean.
As a faithful Christian, God created sex for good, right? Consensual connection with your partner,
Yeah.
right? I think that that's really important. Here's another affirming one: desire flows freely in me and between us. That might be a good one when we're looking at that, setting an alarm. Desire, saying this, right? Desire flows freely in me and between us. Something about desire is okay. I can awaken the desire within me. Intimacy is more than an act. It is connection and vulnerability.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an affirmation style. You might not even be in a relationship, a committed relationship. That might be an important sexual mantra for you to think about.
So how could people put these affirmations into play? Would they, when they set the alarm, these are some things you would say? Or what if you're not in a relationship or having issues, but you're really wanting to feel more comfortable in your own sexuality?
Yeah, I think it's all good.
Okay.
Right? I think it's all good.
So kind of like a wake up, part of your
Absolutely.
routine. and
Maybe you
just kinda-
stumbled across this episode. And so you're hearing this. Absolutely. Think about who you are as a sexual being, and it is healthy and it is okay.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a relationship, maybe there is masturbation that you're engaging in, and thinking about sexual pleasure and
Yeah.
thinking about what you like, so that you can, when you are in a relationship with someone else, be able to share those things in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's private. That's number one.
Yes.
This is private. It might be private with you. It might be private. I mean, it is private with your partner.
Yes.
Right? Sexual pleasure is a private conversation. Right?
Yeah.
And that's really important to remember. So that's a great question. Last, relational and sexual, a new mantra might be: I am here, open, and ready for pleasure with you.
So this is something you would say to your partner,
It could be, right?
or maybe just might put yourself in the mindset.
Put yourself in the mindset.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that could be fun. Definitely do that for you. Put yourself in that mindset and share that with your partner. I am here, open, and ready for pleasure with you. You know, Sarah, one thing that we have not talked about are people who have experienced sexual trauma. And that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
As a child, as an adolescent, or as
an adult.
or at any time in your life when you've experienced sexual trauma. This clearly is going to impact your ability to feel safe and vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And so I really want to encourage people, go check out our episode on trauma. And really, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of sexual pleasure. And talk to a trauma-trained therapist about that.
Yeah.
For sure. If you are finding that this conversation, you're not able to say that, I am here, open, and ready for pleasure with you, definitely talk to a trauma-trained therapist.
Yeah.
Because that is trauma and traumatic, and you want to process that. Very important to do.
Yes.
And the last one I have that I wrote for relational and sexual is: I hear your desire, I feel mine, and we explore together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. There's a lot more that we could go into, and we will. Check out our episodes on Let's Talk About Sex.
Yeah.
This is
It's going to
just
be a little series.
It's going to be a little series, and this is the first one. We want you to know that sex is healthy. Sexual pleasure is important, and it needs to be consensual, connectional, and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks. High five.
High five.
Thanks for joining us on This Might Be Triggering. We hope today's episode helped you feel seen and reminded you that you're not alone. If something resonated, share it with a friend, leave a review, or reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Stay connected with us at mentalhealthcounselinggroup.com or on Instagram at This Might Be Triggering.
And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Keep empowering your wellness one self at a time.
And together we can change the world one relationship at a time.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not therapy, does not create a therapeutic relationship, and should not replace professional mental health care. By listening, you agree not to use this podcast as medical or mental health advice or as a replacement for therapy. If you need support, please reach out to a licensed provider in your area. If you're in crisis, call or text 988 in the US or contact local emergency services.